"You don't even act like a woman," my dad said. So I stopped funding the freeloaders and walked out on the entire family. And now they are blowing up my phone with calls. Hey everyone, before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hey guys, you know those nature documentaries where parasites slowly drain the life out of their hosts until there's nothing left but a hollow shell? Yeah, that was my family biography for the last 6 years. Only difference is the parasite usually doesn't text you at 2 a.m. asking for just one more transfer to cover their third emergency that month. So the thing is, I've always been the reliable one in my family. The girl everyone calls when stuff hits the fan. The one with the steady job, the savings account, and apparently an invisible sign on my forehead that says free money. I, 29, female, graduated with an engineering degree 6 years ago and landed a decent job right out of college. Nothing crazy. I'm not some Silicon Valley tech wizard or anything, but solid enough that I could afford a decent apartment, keep my bills paid, and still put some away each month. Pretty basic adult, right? My younger sister, 26 though, complete opposite. She dropped out of college after changing her major 4 times, then spent the next few years finding herself through a series of minimum wage jobs she could never keep for more than a few months. Girl had the work ethic of a stone sloth. When she got evicted from her apartment 3 years ago, shocker, my parents called me in a panic. It's just until she finds her feet, they said. Just help her out this once, they said. But it was not just this once. What started as a one-time bailout turned into a never-ending cycle of rent payments, bill coverage, and emergency cash transfers. I'm not talking small amounts either. Here's a breakdown of the last year alone. $700 a month for her rent, $16,800 a year, $350 per month for her utilities, and $2,000 for her car repairs she somehow needed despite barely driving to work. $200 for her emergency dental work, which was totally preventable. $800 for her credit card minimum payments, because why pay your own bills when your sister will? That's $24,000 plus in 1 year, almost half my take-home pay funneled straight to my deadbeat sister. And every time I tried to have a conversation about how this arrangement needed to end, I'd get the same guilt trip from my dad. "A real woman takes care of her family," he'd say. "Your grandmother worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table." Cool story, Dad. Did Grandma also bankroll a fully capable adult who refused to get her act together? Because I'm pretty sure she didn't. The worst part? My sister's Instagram is a nonstop highlight reel of brunches, beach trips, and new outfits. She buys $200 shoes and posts about weekend getaways while I'm grinding 60-hour weeks to support 2 households. Meanwhile, I've been putting off buying a house, rarely take vacations, and my social life's been on life support since I'm always working. My friends have started calling me the Bank of Alwyn as a joke, except it's not funny when it's your reality. But the real slap in the face was when I caught her explaining to her roommate how she manages her finances by, and I quote, "just asking my sister whenever I need anything." I overheard this gem when I stopped by to drop off her car payment. Again. She didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed when she realized I was standing there. Why did I put up with it for so long? Honestly, it was easier than fighting. I'd say no. They'd guilt trip me. I'd give in, rinse and repeat. Plus, I was doing well enough at my job that I could afford it, even if it meant postponing my own goals and dreams. I had plans, you know? I wanted to buy a house with a garage where I could set up a woodworking shop. I've been into carpentry since high school, and I'd been dreaming about having my own space to build furniture. I also bought a vintage 1978 Honda CB750 motorcycle back in college that I've been meaning to restore. It's been sitting under a tarp for 3 years because every time I saved up enough to start the project, my sister would have some new emergency. But things changed last month when my aunt, my dad's sister, split with her husband and moved in with my parents. Suddenly, I wasn't just supporting my sister. I was expected to chip in for the renovations to accommodate my aunt, because apparently a spare bedroom needed converting and only premium fixtures and custom furniture would do. My dad called one Tuesday night while I was working late. We need about $4,000 for the contractor. Your mother thinks you should handle it since your sister is, still getting established. Getting established. At 26, after 3 years of me paying her bills. Something in me just clicked. It wasn't even the amount, though $4,000 isn't exactly pocket change. It was the casual entitlement. The assumption that my money was family money, while my sister's money was her money. The complete lack of awareness that I might have my own plans for my hard-earned cash. That was when I decided enough was enough. That Sunday, I headed to my parents' for our monthly family dinner. I spent the drive rehearsing what I was going to say while simultaneously working on my garage renovation plans in my head. The one project for myself I'd been planning for months. My own little retreat with a workbench for my woodworking projects, space for my gaming setup, and room cleared out for the next phase, finally restoring that vintage motorcycle. The same project I'd delayed 3 times already because my sister needed money for something urgent, like that festival she just had to attend, or the new iPhone because her perfectly functional older model wasn't cute anymore. When I arrived, everyone was already seated. My parents, my sister, and now my aunt. Dad was mid-rant about kids these days having no work ethic, completely oblivious to the irony of saying this, with his unemployed daughter sitting right there. My sister was scrolling through her phone, probably making another ASOS order with the money I sent her for utilities. I loaded my plate with pot roast and sat down quietly, trying to keep my blood pressure in check. The conversation flowed around me, my aunt talking about her divorce, my mom discussing neighborhood gossip, my sister occasionally looking up from her phone to complain about some perceived slight from her roommate. Before he even got to the money, Dad was already mid-rant about how women these days are soft as tissue paper. You know what the problem is with your generation? He grumbled, to no one in particular. Too fragile, no backbone. My mother worked herself to the bone without whining about boundaries or mental health. She didn't need a damn woman cave to feel strong. She just handled it. He looked directly at me, like the whole rant was aimed squarely at my spine, then hit me with, "So, I was telling your aunt how you're helping with the renovation costs." I looked up from my food, making eye contact with him. Am I? The table got quiet. My mom jumped in, her voice overly cheerful. Well, of course, we discussed this. The contractor needs the deposit by Tuesday. No, I said, stabbing a potato with more force than necessary. Dad mentioned it. I never agreed. My sister finally looked up from her phone, rolling her eyes. Don't be stingy. It's not like you don't have the money. That was it, the final freaking straw. I set down my fork with a clatter that made my aunt jump. You know what? You're right. I do have money, because I work for it. I budget. I make sacrifices. My dad scoffed. Here we go with the lecture. No lecture, I cut him off. Just clarity. I'm done. My sister let out an exaggerated sigh. Done with what? Done being everyone's ATM. I looked her straight in the eye. Your rent, your bills, your car insurance, that's on you now. She laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. Dad slammed his hand on the table. You don't even act like a woman anymore. He pointed his fork at me like it was a damn spear. A real woman sacrifices. A real woman doesn't whine when her family needs her. You think your grandmother ever cried about needing space or boundaries? She just got it done. You're damn right I don't act like your version of a woman, I said, my voice calm and cold. Because that woman ignores her own needs until she burns out. That woman lets everyone bleed her dry and calls it duty. Being a woman doesn't mean funding your bad decisions. It means having boundaries, and I'm setting mine now. This is ridiculous, my mom chimed in. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me lately? I asked. Because from where I'm sitting, I've been carrying this family financially for years, while everyone takes and takes and takes. My aunt shifted uncomfortably in her seat, clearly wishing she was anywhere else. Good. Let her see the family dynamics she'd walked into. My sister's expression shifted from amusement to panic as she realized I wasn't backing down. But my rent is due next week, she said. I don't have enough. Not my problem. What am I supposed to do? She demanded, voice rising. Get a job. Keep a job. Budget. Live within your means. All the things adults are supposed to do. She slammed her hand on the table. I've been trying. Same old story. I paid bills. You bought bikinis. That's not fair. I need those things for my mental health. I had to laugh at that. And what about my mental health? You think I enjoy working myself to death to support you? My dad pushed his chair back. That's enough. We're family, and family supports each other. Period. Funny how that support only seems to flow in one direction, I replied. When's the last time any of you supported me? My mother's face crumpled into that manipulative, sad expression I knew all too well. How can you say that? We've always been there for you. Being there for me would mean respecting me enough not to treat me like a walking wallet. I stood up, grabbed my jacket from the back of my chair, and headed for the door. I was done with dinner and done with this conversation. My mom called after me. You can't just walk out on family. I turned around one last time, making sure to look each of them in the eye. Watch me. And I walked out, slamming the door behind me. The sound was so freaking satisfying, I can't even tell you. The fallout was immediate and intense. I hadn't even made it to my car before my phone started blowing up. Texts from my sister ranged from pleading to threatening. You can't be serious. I'll be homeless. You're such a... That last one? Yeah, she went there. Classic emotional manipulation. She'd threatened self-harm before when she didn't get her way, but I'd later find out from mutual friends that she was just fine, usually out partying the same night. I silenced my phone, cranked up some Metallica on the car stereo, and drove home with the windows down. For the first time in years, I felt light, like I'd been carrying this massive weight for so long, I'd forgotten what it was like to stand up straight. When I got to my apartment, I did something I hadn't done in forever. I played video games without checking my phone every 5 minutes to see if my sister needed something. Just a solid 3 hours of killing zombies and not giving a freak. The next day, I took a personal day from work. Instead of answering the 27 missed calls, no exaggeration, I counted them, I went to Home Depot and bought supplies for my garage project. While picking out power tools, my dad called again. Decline. Then my mom. Decline. Then my sister, from a number I didn't recognize. Sneaky, but not sneaky enough. I spent the day setting up my workbench, organizing my tools, and mapping out where my gaming rig would go. Phase 1 was done. Next up, that bike's long overdue comeback. I ordered pizza, cranked up some music, and lost myself in the joy of finally doing something for me. My phone kept buzzing, but with each ignored call, the weight on my shoulders lifted a little more. Around 6:00 p.m., someone started pounding on my door like they were trying to break it down. I looked through the peephole to see my sister. Mascara streaked down her face, looking like she just stepped out of a telenovela. I opened the door, but blocked the entrance with my body. What? 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 You know what? She tried to push past me into my apartment. I didn't move. You need to fix this, she demanded, finally giving up and stepping back. There's nothing to fix. The situation is exactly as it should be. She pushed past me anyway and stormed into my living room. I sighed and closed the door, mentally preparing for the theatrical performance that was about to unfold. My landlord says if I'm late on rent again, he's evicting me, she wailed, pacing back and forth. Sounds like a problem you created, I replied, leaning against the wall with my arms crossed. So you're just going to let me be homeless? What kind of sister does that? The kind who's tired of being used. She switched tactics, her voice softening as she approached me. Look, I know I've relied on you a lot, but I'm trying. I've got a job interview next week at this really promising startup. And you've been trying for 3 years, I said, making air quotes. I've heard all this before. The amazing job that's just around the corner. The career opportunity that's going to change everything. Then nothing happens, and your hand is out again. This time is different, she insisted, her eyes wide with what I'm sure she thought was sincerity. They really liked my resume, and the pay is great. I just need a little more time to... Time's up, I said flatly. Figure it out yourself. Her face hardened, the fake vulnerability vanishing in an instant. You know what? Dad's right. You're not a real woman. A real woman wouldn't abandon her family. I had to laugh at that. A real woman isn't a doormat. A real woman has self-respect. F you, she spat, grabbing her designer purse that I probably paid for. When I'm living on the street, I hope you feel good about yourself. As she stormed toward the door, I called after her. There's always Mom and Dad's couch. Or maybe get a roommate. Or, crazy thought, an actual job. The door slammed so hard my framed diploma fell off the wall and the glass cracked. Symbolic, I thought. I went back to organizing my tools with a smile on my face. Later that night, the texts from my parents started rolling in. Dad, your sister is hysterical. What did you say to her? Mom, we raised you better than this. Dad, call me now. Mom, your sister loves you. How can you be so cruel? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I ordered the parts I needed for my motorcycle restoration project. The total came to about $600, less than half of what I'd been paying for my sister's rent each month. The realization was both liberating and infuriating. Crazy what you can afford when you're not bankrolling someone's highlight reel. That weekend was the first in years that I didn't get a frantic call about some financial emergency. I kept expecting it, honestly. That Pavlovian response was hard to shake. But when Sunday evening rolled around and my phone hadn't blown up once, well, with actual emergencies, the guilt trip text didn't count, I realized something important. There had never been that many real emergencies. They just trained me to treat their wants as needs. I slept better that night than I had in months. 3 days into my new no more handouts policy, my parents showed up unannounced at my apartment. It was a Wednesday evening, and I'd just gotten home from work. I saw my dad's car pull into my building's parking lot through my living room window. For a brief moment, I considered pretending I wasn't home. But no, I was done hiding. I was done avoiding confrontation. This was my apartment, paid for with my money, and I had nothing to be ashamed of. My mom carried a grocery bag like some kind of peace offering. Classic manipulation tactic. Bring food, so I can't just turn them away without looking like an ungrateful jerk. "We brought dinner," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Can we talk?" I let them in, mostly because I was curious about their approach. Would it be more guilt-tripping? Threats? Promises to change that would never materialize? All of the above. We sat at my kitchen table, the grocery bag untouched between us. My dad cleared his throat, adjusting his position like he was about to deliver a practice speech. "Your sister is in real trouble," he began, his tone serious. "Her landlord gave her until Friday to pay up or get out." I took a sip of water, keeping my expression neutral. And she doesn't have the money. My mom jumped in, her voice rising. "She's applied for jobs, but nothing's come through yet." "She's had 3 years to figure this out," I replied, setting my glass down carefully. "What's she been doing all this time?" My dad shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "That's not the point. The point is she needs help now." "No, that is the point. I've been helping for years, and nothing's changed, because there's been no reason for anything to change. She doesn't need help. She needs consequences." My mom's eyes welled up with tears. Classic move. "So you're just going to let her suffer?" "I'm letting her experience the results of her choices. There's a difference." "She's your sister," my mom pressed. "Family sticks together through thick and thin." Funny, I don't remember her sticking with me when I was working overtime to pay her bills. In fact, I distinctly remember her making fun of me for being boring and working too much while she was out living her best life on my dime. They exchanged a look. Then my dad leaned forward, switching tactics. "Look, we understand you're frustrated. But this isn't just about your sister. Your aunt is settling in, and the contractor needs that deposit." I stood up so quickly my chair nearly tipped over. "Seriously? You're still trying to get money for the renovation, after everything I just said?" He had the decency to look embarrassed, but only for a moment. "Family helps family. That's how it works." "No, that's how you think it works. In my world, adults handle their own responsibilities." My mom tried a different angle. "Just this one last time. Help your sister with this month's rent, and we won't ask again." I actually laughed at that. "You said that last month. And the month before, and probably the month before that, but I've lost track of all the last times at this point." "This is different," my dad insisted. "She's really trying this time." "Then prove it," I said. "Show me the job applications she's filled out. Show me a budget she's made. Show me any evidence at all that she's really trying, beyond just saying the words." They looked at each other again, clearly not expecting this response. "Well?" I pressed. My dad's patience snapped. "What do you even need all that money for anyway? Those stupid projects in your garage? That motorcycle that'll probably kill you?" And there it was, the real resentment. They weren't just entitled to my money, they were angry I might spend it on myself. "Those stupid projects are mine, my time, my money, my life." "So selfish," my mom muttered, not quite under her breath. I laughed again, but there was no humor in it. "Selfish. I've given you people over $30,000 in the last 3 years. The selfish ones are sitting right here in my kitchen." My dad stood up, face flushed with anger. "We raised you better than this." "No, you raised me to be your backup plan. That's done now." They left without touching the groceries they'd brought. As the door closed behind them, I heard my dad say, "She'll come around. She always does." He couldn't have been more wrong. The next phase of the pressure campaign began the following day. My phone started blowing up with calls from extended family members, aunts, uncles, cousins I barely spoke to. Apparently, my parents had activated the family phone tree, painting me as the villain who was leaving her poor sister to starve on the streets. My aunt, Different one, not the newly divorced one, left a voicemail. I've always thought of you as a compassionate young woman. I'm very disappointed to hear you're abandoning your sister in her time of need. My uncle texted, "Family is all we have in this world. Don't turn your back on yours." Even my grandmother called, her voice quavering with what I'm sure she thought was righteous concern. "Your grandfather would be so ashamed if he could see how you're behaving." That one stung a little. I'd been close to my grandpa. But then I remembered. He worked hard his whole life to provide for his family, not to enable laziness. He taught me the value of self-reliance, not endless handouts. I responded to each relative the same way. "This is between me and my immediate family. Thanks for your concern." Then I blocked them too. My cousin Jake was the only one who reached out to actually hear my side. "Dude, what's going on?" he messaged. "Your mom called my mom crying about how you've abandoned the family or some dramatic crap." I gave him the abbreviated version. His response? "About effing time, girl. They've been bleeding you dry for years." It was validating to hear that at least one person in the family could see the situation clearly. The worst part of the pressure campaign was when they started showing up at my workplace. My sister came by during lunch one day, making a scene in the lobby until security escorted her out. My mom happened to be shopping at the grocery store across from my office and spotted me coming out after work. I started varying my routes, keeping my schedule unpredictable, and using the back entrance to my building. It was exhausting, but I held firm. Each attempt to manipulate me only reinforced that I'd made the right decision. A week passed. My sister got evicted, just like her landlord threatened. She moved onto my parents' couch, which quickly created exactly the tension I expected. My aunt, apparently, was less than thrilled about sharing the house with my unemployed sister and her mountain of belongings. From what I heard, through Jake, who remained my only family connection, the house had devolved into a war zone of passive-aggressive comments and slammed doors. "Dude, your sister moved in with your parents and it's World War II over here," Jake texted. "Aunt Carol is threatening to leave. Your mom is stress baking nonstop. There are like 12 casseroles in the fridge." Good. Let them deal with the monster they created. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I finished the first phase of my garage renovation, installed my gaming setup, and started working on my motorcycle. 3 years under a tarp, and now, finally, it was time to bring it back to life. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed tinkering with engines. The methodical process of taking something apart, cleaning each component, and putting it back together. For the first time in years, I was spending my money on things that mattered to me. I'd also started going out more, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected while working overtime to support my sister. We hit up a local bar one Saturday night, and I actually bought a round for everyone, without checking my bank balance first. A small thing, but it felt huge to me. Then my phone rang, unfamiliar number. Normally, I'd ignore it, assuming it was another family member trying to get through my blocks. But I answered. "Hello, this is Northeast Credit Union calling about your sister's car loan. You're listed as a co-signer, and the account is 60 days past due." Crap. I'd forgotten about that. 2 years ago, I co-signed her car loan because she needed reliable transportation for job interviews. The same job interviews that never materialized into actual employment. "How much is overdue?" I asked, already dreading the answer. $1,204, including late fees. If the loan defaulted, my credit would take a hit, credit I needed for the house I was planning to buy. Now that I wasn't supporting an extra adult, my financial goals were finally within reach. My phone pinged with a text from my sister. "Got a call from the bank. Bet you'll help me now." This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't her forgetting a payment in the chaos of being evicted. This was strategic. She was holding my credit score hostage. Two could play that game. I called the bank back. "I want to pay off the balance of the loan and transfer the title solely to my name." The representative sounded confused. "Ma'am?" "I co-signed the loan. I'm taking ownership of the vehicle. How much to clear the entire balance?" "And 8,720 mace. Process it today, and I want the title transferred immediately." It was a lot of money, but less than I'd spend supporting her for another 6 months. And unlike the money I'd been giving her, this was an investment. I'd either keep the car as a second vehicle or sell it and recoup most of the cost. An hour later, my sister called, screaming so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "They're taking my car? How could you?" "Not taking. Took. It's my car now since I paid for it." "I need that car." She was practically hyperventilating. Should have made the payments then. "Where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to get to job interviews?" The irony of that excuse again wasn't lost on me. Public transportation exists. So does Uber. So do friends who might give you rides, if you have any left who aren't sick of your freeloading. You're the worst person I've ever known. Her voice had gone cold, which was actually a relief after the screaming. And yet I'm the one you kept asking for money. Funny how that works. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I texted Jake. Tell her the car will be picked up tomorrow at 2 p.m. If she damages it, I'm pressing charges. The next day, I had the car towed from my parents' driveway to my house, where it parked beside my long-shelved motorcycle, both now officially mine. Both finally where they belonged. I didn't actually need a second vehicle, but I'd rather sell it than let her use my credit to hold on to it. Message sent. I'm not playing games anymore. My parents' response was swift and predictable. More angry calls, more flying monkeys dispatched to make me feel guilty. But something had shifted. Where before I'd felt anxious and conflicted about standing up to them, now I just felt amused. The more outrageous their attempts to manipulate me became, the more certain I was that I'd made the right choice. Surprisingly, my sister was the first to crack. 3 days after I took the car, she sent an email, since I'd blocked her number. Checked. Subject. Please read. Body. I'm sorry for what I said. I was upset. Can we please talk? I really am trying to get my life together. I have a job interview tomorrow and I need my car back. I replied with one line. Show me 6 months of self-sufficiency and we'll talk. She didn't respond. 2 weeks later, Jake texted me a photo of my sister's new Facebook post. And first day at the new job. So excited to start this journey. It was a retail position at the mall. Minimum wage, probably part-time. Not exactly career material, but it was something. Something more than she'd done in years. I felt a twinge of, not guilt, exactly, maybe pride, that she was finally doing what she should have been doing all along. But I wasn't ready to let my guard down yet. 1 week of employment didn't erase 3 years of manipulation. After the car incident, my parents launched a full-scale family pressure campaign. Again. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion about how I should step up and help my struggling sister. I received long, detailed voicemails from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, explaining why family comes first and how disappointed they were in me. My response was simple and consistent. This is between me and my immediate family. Thanks for your concern. Then I blocked them, again. And yeah, 2 months passed. According to Jake, my sister was still working at her retail job. That was some kind of record for her. She'd found a roommate situation she could actually afford on her income. My parents had stopped trying to contact me after I sent them a certified letter stating that any further unannounced visits would be considered trespassing. I sold her car, my car, legally, and used the money to finish my garage renovation and take a weekend trip to the mountains. My first actual vacation in 3 years. I hiked during the day, sat around a campfire with friends at night, didn't check my phone every 5 minutes for financial emergencies. It was fudging glorious. When I got back, there was a letter waiting for me. No return address, but I recognized my mom's handwriting. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won out. Inside was a single page. We need to talk. Your father borrowed money against the house to help your sister stay afloat after you abandoned her. We're behind on payments. Please call us. I stared at the letter for a long time. A mix of emotions washed over me. Anger that they were still trying to make me feel responsible. Frustration that they'd made such a stupid financial decision. But mostly, a strange sense of clarity. This confirmed everything I'd suspected. They'd been using me as their financial safety net for so long that when I cut them off, they had no backup plan. Instead of forcing my sister to stand on her own feet, they doubled down on enabling her. And now they were paying the price. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I didn't respond. A week later, another letter arrived. The bank called about the mortgage. We might lose the house. Is that what you want? Your parents homeless? I stared at this one even longer. Then I typed out a text to my mom's number, the first direct communication I'd initiated in months. Being a woman doesn't mean funding your bad decisions. It means having boundaries. This is yours. Then I blocked her number too. That night, I sat in my completed garage workshop, beer in hand, looking at my motorcycle, now fully restored and gleaming under the LED lights I'd installed. On the wall hung the framed first dollar I'd earned at my engineering job. Beside it was a new addition, a printout of my investment account, showing the money I'd saved in just 2 months of not bankrolling my family. Enough for a down payment on my own house. I took a photo and posted it to my new family-free Instagram account with the caption, "And freedom isn't free, but damn, it's worth every penny." For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't dreading a phone call. Wasn't calculating how someone else's emergency would impact my budget. Wasn't postponing my dreams to fund someone else's entitlement. I was just free. The epilogue to this story is still being written. Jake tells me my sister is still working, has even been promoted to shift manager, and is actually paying her own bills. For the first time in years, no bailouts, no crisis calls, no demands for money dressed up as family emergencies. My parents, they had to take out a second mortgage, but they managed to keep the house. Barely. My aunt eventually moved out, tired of the drama, the slammed doors, the icy silences over burnt casseroles and unpaid bills. According to Jake, she now rents a cozy little duplex 2 towns over and has never been happier. My dad still won't speak to me, but my mom sent a card on my birthday. No apology, no note inside, just a generic thinking of you message printed in glittery cursive over a bouquet of watercolor tulips. Baby steps, I guess. As for me, I've started dating again. Turns out men appreciate a woman who isn't constantly stressed about money or weighed down by guilt-tripped obligations. We go on motorcycle rides, weekend hikes, and even did a wine tasting at a vineyard one Saturday, a far cry from my previous weekends of crunching numbers and calculating which bills I could cover for my sister without derailing my own rent. The best part? About a week ago, I bumped into my sister at a coffee shop. We locked eyes. Awkward. Tense. I half expected her to turn around or throw some snark, but instead she walked over. She looked different, calmer, more put together, like someone who had finally started dealing with her own mess instead of dumping it on someone else. "I'm still mad at you," she said, blunt and honest. "I'm not sorry," I replied, equally honest. And for the first time, she didn't argue. She just nodded, almost like she understood. No hug, no dramatic reunion, no fake promises to stay in touch. Just before walking out, she turned around and said, "Thanks for not covering my rent." It wasn't an apology, not exactly, but it was the closest she's ever come. Letting family fail might feel cruel in the moment, but sometimes it's the only way they learn how to survive, without dragging you down with them. And I still don't regret a thing.